I can answer any questions along in there. Ashley Clark is our director. She is out this week, so I'm standing in for her in all the things that we do. So we've got FMS and victim services and budget and the controller's office and payroll is what we've got in our department. So nice to meet you all.
Thanks, Mitch. Most of you know Matt Hansen. He is on vacation, and Ed Cayley is the new director running the big organization, and Ed is unavailable right now too. So that is the exec team. Most of the positions, pretty much all of the positions are filled. Danny Lake is the IG, who is out on vacation as well. So that pretty much wraps up the exec team. We're all accessible via our, Google email. Most of you, if you've attended a meeting that I've been in, you probably have my work cell phone number. If not, the show will be traveling to a location near you soon. If you don't have it, you will have it then. Because one of the focuses in this exec team in this administration period is making sure everyone has a voice, and you will hear me talk about this every opportunity I get to talk about it. I want everyone to have a voice, and I want everyone to feel comfortable having a voice. And we realize that there's some departments, some locations where staff are a little reluctant or don't feel comfortable in that environment using their voice, and we are working on identifying those areas and trying to make whatever necessary changes we can to create an environment where staff are comfortable utilizing their voice. But the biggest piece in identifying those areas and fixing those areas, it rests solely on us getting feedback from the individuals in that area and letting us know, if there's issues or if there's challenges. And you can do that in many, many different ways. You can do it while, through the email. You can do it through like I said, if you have my phone number, you can do it when we're out in the facilities. Any way you want to get that information to us, we're willing to accept it. One of the things that we're doing as an exec staff now is, so we have an exec meeting every Tuesday, and we've just recently started on at least once a month. We're going to take that exec team meeting on the road, and which means that we'll be doing it in a facility where we will welcome in the exec staff from that facility, as well as we'll do a town hall meeting with the staff at that facility, and we're going to walk and talk to staff. So when we're at your facility, please feel free to talk to us. If you have concerns, if you don't have concerns, but you just have something you want to talk about, feel free to talk to us, because that's the only way we're really going to find out what's truly going on and what's truly happening in the facilities is to create an environment where staff are comfortable talking to us. Keeping in line with that, one of the things that we're doing right now is, so when you hear us talk about vacancies or you start reading anything that talks about staff vacancies, you may hear many different numbers, because there's a number that we get budgeted for, there's a number that we count that are funded positions, there's a number that's unfunded positions. So depending upon what meeting you're in or who you're talking to, they may give you a different number for what the staff vacancy is. So what we're trying to do right now is we're trying to develop and figure out what is the right size vacancy number. The last number I heard, we're in the 1400s, but by no means do we have 1400 correctional officer vacancies. So sometimes when we say that in the public that we have 1400 vacancies, it causes a little panic because they're thinking that's 1400 correctional officer vacancies, and that is not the case. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to take all these different sources where we compute our vacancies, and we're trying to come up with a standardized formula of how we're going to track our vacancies. And while we're doing that, we also want to make sure that we realize that we do have some vacancies, because like now, like I said, the 1,400 number we're talking about now, but there was also a point pre-COVID where we were hovering around 900 vacancies. So if you use that math, we're only 500 off from where we were pre-COVID. And pre-COVID, we were functioning pretty normal. Um, so we're trying to figure out what is that normal vacancy amount, what's that normal vacancy number where we feel comfortable operating in day to day. So once we get that number, instead of trying to focus and target an unrealistic vacancy number, we want to target a realistic number to try to fill those vacancies. Now we'll fill every vacancy that we get funded at, but we also need to right size and know what is the right amount of vacancies that we need to fill. But while we're doing that, we also understand that we need to make sure that we're right sizing the responsibilities as well of the staff that we do have. So we are on this quest to look at every single process we do in the department, and we're trying to put those processes in one of three buckets. What is statutorily required for us to do, what is sound correctional practice / safety reasons why we do it, and then there's a third bucket that everyone on this call at some point either said or heard someone say, and that is that, well, just because we've always done it that way. Well, that's the bucket that once we've identified all of the different processes and we've tried to put them in all the different buckets, that third bucket is the bucket that we really want to address, because we want to get away from doing things just because we've always done it. If there's not a good sound reason for doing it, then maybe we need to stop doing it. If it's no longer the most sound correction practice or the most efficient way of doing something, then either we stop doing that practice or we find a more efficient way of doing it. So we're going to look at every single process we do in this department and figure out what does it fit in one of those three buckets. We're starting off with the shift commanders, because the shift commanders, if you really think about it, they touch every single department throughout the entire department. Because when the administrative staff aren't there, who's running the facilities in the evenings? The shift commanders. So we're having a meeting with them later this month. We're bringing them all up to HQ, and we're going to actually have them tell us what they do day to day. Because who better to ask than those that are doing it? I was in the feds, our shift commanders were lieutenants, and I was a lieutenant many, many years ago. So for me to sit here now and try to figure out what a shift commander does in the Department of Corrections when I haven't done lieutenant duties in over 15 years, that's not a realistic assessment of what they do. So why not get all of those individuals in the same room? We talk about it, we iron it out, we use, dry erase boards, whatever method we need to try to identify all the different responsibilities that we place on shift commanders, and then try to put those in one of the three buckets and kind of go from there. And the goal is to, once we are done with the shift commander piece, then we're going to do that with every other department, with every other process that we do in the department. Now, I realize that that's going to take some time. That's not something that's going to happen overnight. And it may not happen by the end of this year, but we're committed to seeing it through, because we want to right size the work responsibilities for the staff that we have. The next thing I want to talk about is, you probably just received an email from me, and it's talking about the change in our mission and value statement. And I won't read the whole email to you because most of you just got it. If not, you can read it on your own. But we had an exec meeting not too long ago, and we reviewed the old mission and vision and value statement, and it no longer fit the vision and mission of what this administration and where we feel we needed to go. So we are looking at, we've made some modifications to those, and the new mission and value statement we got sent out today. So take a look at that and please give us feedback on what you think. So, because again, I want everyone to have a voice and I want to hear everyone's voice. So, and then the last thing that I'm going to talk about before we open up for questions is keeping in line with trying to right size what we do and make sure we have pieces in the most efficient and the best place. One of the things that we're looking at doing is we're looking at making a swap with our MCC population and our PC population. And some of you may have heard talk about this. We haven't put anything out official because we're still working through some of the bugs. But what we're looking at doing is moving MCC from Sterling and replacing that with the PC population down from Canyon. Because, you know, Sterling is notoriously one of those hardest staff locations, but the MCC population is one of those populations that is the most staff intensive. So one of the things we're looking at is if we make a swap in those populations, one, we will give the MCC staff that's been dealing with those guys for quite some time a break. And two, we can better fit the population needs of the PC with the staffing population that we have in Sterling. And there again, if you have comments or suggestions or any feedback on that, feel free to email us and let us know. You can email me, you can email Melissa Smith, Dolph, Steve Owens, any of us, if you have any feedback on that. So that's kind of all I have. I know I said a lot, and this video conferencing thing is kind of tough because you really can't see if there's any hands raised or any questions. But for now, I will stop talking and turn it over to Annie to see if there's any questions in the hopper.
Yeah, so Andre, I think just kind of tagging a little bit off the mission statement, I think just for some point of clarification, I think you might